This week, on the last week of Sellout October, we're pandering to the millennial moms because we're watching Hocus Pocus.
Disney's horniest movie.
Yabbos for all.
It's Sellout October, bitches.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Stabby Stabby. My name's Dan, and I'll be one of your hosts on this very spooky occasion. With Halloween right around the corner, rather than turn to some capitalist bar-coded beer or hard seltzer, what I did was I terrified my water with carbonation and put a bunch of vodka in it. So that's what I'm drinking. I'm drinking a vodka carbonated water, and it's delicious. Eric, what you up to?
Yeah, I don't know if my drink's is scary, but I'm drinking Little Sip IPA, one of my go-tos.
Yum.
Keep it cold, enjoy fresh. That's what it says on the can anyway. Greg, what's going on? What are you drinking?
Hey, well, I'm drinking an artillery brewing company, The Musket. It's a Belgian-style saison. And I'm actually, it's a little different than what I normally drink. And I just want to be upfront here and let you guys know that your little plan to get me to light a candle is not going to work because I'm not a virgin. All right,
I don't believe
I'm
you.
definitely not a virgin.
Oh.
I don't believe you.
I thought
You know
was...
what? I think you have to come over to my house and I have to check.
I thought it was the whole reason we were doing this episode because you're a virgin.
No,
Yeah.
no. Maybe.
No, he doth protest too much, I think, Eric. I think we've learned something about our co-host here.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, how many times did they say the word virgin in this movie? Would you care to wager a guess? I will not count, so who knows if it's true.
It's got to be at least like 10 to 15 times, and the little girl who was like 8 said it most of the time.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, really weird. Really odd choice.
I like the idea of this being shown every Halloween on like the Disney Channel and like little children turning to their parents like, "What's a virgin?"
What are yabbos? It is weird. This movie coming from Disney, that's the weirdest part. For one thing, I never in a million years thought that we would watch any Disney property on this podcast, but it was pretty fun. I'm glad we watched it. But for another thing, I didn't know that Disney made like super horny movies like this. Are there any other super like this movie's like a nun that like if a nun raised her arms in the air and like penises came out of her armpits, where you're like, I didn't think this was sexual, and the way it's sexual is completely surprising to me. This movie came out of nowhere to me. Also, by the way, I've never seen this movie. This is my first time seeing Hocus Pocus.
I think the nun penis armpit one went direct to DVD.
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus.
Wait, what was the question? Other horny Disney property movies?
Yeah, what are there other has Disney always been this horny?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. I could think of scary films.
I would venture to guess that The Black Hole is pretty horny.
Just by title alone?
If you could just cut in some laughing and clapping. Yes, that was the joke.
I've never heard of that. Is that a real movie?
Yeah, it's all right. A sci-fi movie.
Okay.
All right.
Yo, Greg, let's get in this plot. Let's do this plot. All right. Greg, light that candle.
Now let's get to the plot.
Hocus Pocus, directed by Kenny Ortega, from 1993, opens up in 1693 Salem, Massachusetts. We've got Thackeray Binks, who's a great name. He's looking for his little sister Emily, who he sees lured into the woods by a song. It's a witch's song that we hear several times in the movie. Thackeray follows her to the witch's house. We meet the Sanderson sisters, the three witches.
Wait, can I just point out this opening? We see these, like, for one thing, it's 1600s New England, but the people that are living in it are beautiful and have like amazing coiffed hair, and they're like these two teenage boys that we're introduced to, Both of them are very handsome, and both of them are not very good actors. And I think I wrote down some of their dialogue. I think one of them says to the other one, "Hast thou seen mine sister Emily?" And the other one just replies, "Nay." And
He's a horse.
It had me laughing so hard. It was like Keanu Reeves in that Dracula movie.
Dracula?
Totally
Bram
out of place.
Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, that's exactly the movie. Yeah, well, you making fun of me because I said that Dracula movie instead of the proper title?
Well,
I'm
it's
sorry.
basically just called Dracula.
Yeah. IMDb Nazi.
Did
Man.
anybody
All right,
get
carry on,
Virgin? Witch vibes from the opening? I mean, I guess because it had witches in it.
Oh, you
But
mean the Vitch?
Yeah, the V witch.
The
The Vitch.
Well, totally. But mostly because of the way the house is nestled in the woods. Because there's that shot in the opening of The Witch where they show the witch like pulverizing a baby. that she
Yes,
kidnapped.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
the same house.
The abduction scene too, when she just disappears into the woods, kind of. I'm sure happens in a lot of witch stuff, but it just felt similar.
It's badass and it's never not creepy.
Yeah.
Even in this movie, there's that one shot where the little girl is following the witch with her like black robe like into the tree line, and it was a little creepy.
Yeah,
I think if I was a big brother, I wouldn't want to see that happening to my little sister.
they're not real subtle about it though. Like a big giant
No.
pillar of purple light,
Yeah.
like shaft, like wow, shoots through the woods. Like, oh, those witches are at it again. Like you think they'd be a little more,
Discreet,
Yeah, they don't want
maybe.
like, oh, the townsfolk showed up again. It's like, no shit. You had a giant purple plume of smoke.
I like to imagine that if in the 1600s in New England, that's... Wait, is this 1600s?
1693.
Wow, okay. Wow, that's a long time ago. If in the 1600s in New England, they had these huge pillars of smoke for when they were doing potions, like 300 years later, if they had been absorbed into capitalism and became part of the American experiment, then they would just be like the Krispy Kreme sign that just says hot donuts in the window. Oh, those witches are brewing right now. We should get in there quick.
Oh,
I need some of that life.
They're absorbing a soul of a child.
Yeah, and inside their shop, it's just a bunch of young children making shirts or something, and they're just siphoning the power, their life away from them. That's how that would work.
Yeah, they would have gotten me years ago.
Totally.
With a big old Krispy Kreme sign.
I mean, in a weird way, if underpaid children mined the resources that make my iPhone work, and if I learn like tips from reading the internet on my iPhone that help me live longer, am I siphoning life away from a child to get a little sliver of immortality?
Yeah.
I think so too. Thank you, Hocus Pocus.
All right. Well, anyway, we're gonna.
Greg's going hard on the transitions this time.
Or carry on, Virgin.
Not a virgin. We meet the Sanderson sisters, who are three witches that are using the life force of children to create a life potion, and they're going to get that life force from Emily. There's a lot happening here. We're introduced to Winifred Sanderson. Who is it? Winifred, Sarah, and Mary. And
Winifred is played by Bette Midler. Sarah is played by Sarah Jessica Parker, and Mary is played by Kathy Najimy. Kathy Najimy. I should have practiced that.
Kathy Najimy. She
only because
rose to stardom in Sister Act.
Oh yeah. Only saying that because, obviously I think most of the people have seen this before, but that'll help give some. Those are the faces you should think of. Carry on. Sorry.
Carry on. I like how Sarah's name is Sarah.
It makes it easier, right?
Yeah.
We learn about Winifred's magic book that she has. I believe it's bound in human flesh, and it has like an eyeball in it. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah,
I like it.
It is cool.
It's very Evil Dead.
Yeah.
My darling. My little book. We must continue with our spell now that our little guest of honor has arrived. Wake up. Wake up, darling. Yes. Oh, come along, darling. There you are. Mary?
Right here, Winnie, right here. Sorry.
Hello. Hello.
I noticed it's
Yeah. So Thackeray Binks gets to the witch's house. Is watching them do all the stuff, make the potion, and ultimately he ends up confronting them. And just to make this scene a little shorter, the witches end up killing Emily and sucking out like her, life force or whatever, and they get younger. Bette Midler a little bit younger, and then they end up turning Thackeray into a little black cat. The Sanderson sisters get caught by the town. The townsfolk all come in there, and they, I guess, like, quote unquote, arrest them and then hang them.
I think the word you're looking for is lynch.
Yeah. They end up
happened.
Lynching them.
Arrest them with nooses.
Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. They're being biblical.
But before they die, the Winifred casts a spell or casts a curse that can bring them back in the future. So yeah, so that was a good 15-minute scene there that I kind of just squeezed in. But anything you want to talk about in that scene?
I don't like being put on the spot like that. But yes, there is. I would just like a passing observation that this set up right away for me. Again, this is my first time watching it. I grew up in a very conservative family, and this was very frowned upon because it's full of witches. But watching it now was pretty fun, and the sets are fucking awesome. Like this whole opening sequence felt great, and the house feels like it's a real house in a real place, and the interior was awesome to look at. And there was this one moment where the boy trying to save his sister bursts in, and he's like in the rafters, and he just says like stop, or he tries to stop what's going on, and all three of the witches just turn around and go, "It's a boy." And for a moment I thought it was a porn, and I loved it. It was super fun.
You could probably just Google that and you'll find it. I'm sure probably.
Just
Wink.
Google
Maybe in VR.
Three witches, it's a boy, X hamster, and then just see what happens. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
Let's see where it goes.
Basically, you could put X hamster after any episode we've done and find something. Yeah.
Affirmative life choices to make changes for myself, X hamster.
Worm farmers.
Interesting.
X-hamster.
Worm farmers is definitely a thing. Wait, are worm farmers people that milk men, or are worm farmers people that water a field that has just penises growing out of them like corn?
Only the X-hamster algorithm knows that answer.
All right, guy, I'll be back in 15 minutes.
I have a thing to talk about. It might be a 2
Oh, not just a kink. All right.
About worm farming. No.
Yeah.
And maybe we could talk about it later, but the cat can talk, right?
It will.
I know, but why didn't he just talk in the beginning?
I don't know.
Maybe because they would have killed him.
Well, so I guess, yeah, because the cat does talk to them as well. Like, they hear the cat talking. And not everybody can hear the cat talking.
Oh, okay.
Right? So,
why
I
do you
think
say
it's
that?
because the cat didn't talk to the kids until they lit the flame and the curse kind of happened. So I don't think the cat can talk, only when you're, like, involved in the magic, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So there's a rule.
All right.
So I just didn't catch the rule.
It's an unstated rule that
I think Greg just came up with a rule.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
it. I mean,
It makes sense.
It sounded legit. Yeah.
Yeah, that tracks.
Cool.
All right, that is officially Hocus Pocus canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From me to you.
From the
Enjoy.
virgin's
No.
mouth to our ears.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wish I never made a joke. All right, so from 1690...
Greg, we were going to make that joke, and you know it.
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Know.
We love
At least someone does. All right, so we moved from 1693 Salem to 1993 Salem, and we're brought to the, well, quote-unquote modern day, because we're well after this, but we have a school teacher who's telling her class about the Sanderson sisters' story.
The Sanderson sisters were hanged by the Salem townfolk. Now, there are those who say that on Halloween night, a black cat still guards the old Sanderson house, warning off any who might make the witches come back to life.
Give me a break.
And we meet Max, who is he's new in town. He's from L.A., and he isn't really into Halloween, so I consider him kind of a douchebag. And we also meet Allison, who is the cool girl apparently in class, and he crushes on Allison pretty quickly, gives her his phone number, and they're talking after class, and she just hands it back to him.
Yeah, that was
I thought
good.
That was Really? That was a smooth rejection.
Yeah, I like that. California Max. Like, I'm from California. I wear tie-dyes. I listen to Jimi Hendrix. Did I mention I was from California? We get it.
Seemed like he had a pretty sweet life. I mean, they moved to a really nice house on the East Coast. He had a lot of cool shit in his bedroom. He had a lucky kid.
He had a Hellraiser skateboard. It was like the scariest thing in the whole movie.
He had a drum kit in his bedroom.
Yes. That was cool.
That's not scary. Not as scary as Hellraiser. You're right. I'm sorry. I rescind my drum kit.
It's scary if you're his parents who have to hear him play, but as an adult, I go, oh man, that's terrifying.
That's right. That's why they didn't buy a townhouse for that kid's fucking drum kit.
Max is heading home from school. He decides to go through the cemetery, and he runs into Jay and Ice, two bullies that kind of hassle him and end up stealing his shoes. I hated these characters.
Yeah.
Why?
Because
Why'd you hate them?
Fucking annoying. Like, they weren't even funny at all. They were the worst. They were the absolute worst.
I like how they formally introduced themselves, like,
Yeah.
and then stole from them. Like, hello, good neighbor, I'm Ice. I'm gonna steal your sneakers so you can tell your parents and the cops. Like, they just
No, keep the Cockney accent thing going.
Yeah,
I
mean,
that.
they don't talk that way, but you know what I'm saying.
Hello, give me your sneaks, mate.
I like sneakers and candy instead of drugs and sex.
Yeah, we're wholesome vandals. You just see him like graffitiing boogers on the side of the school.
If they talked like that, I would have liked them much better.
I didn't see their characters as being pivotal to the plot. I saw them as like an insert from Disney because every 90s children film had those like what were the club heads in Power Rangers? Club and Skull? Was that their name?
Was it Bone and Skull?
Was that it?
Is that what it is? That can't be it.
That is not creative.
It's
Well,
not
actually, you know what? That is exactly as creative as Power Rangers. So yeah, that's probably correct. The Club and Skull. You know what? If we're wrong, don't correct us. Don't leave us a review. Don't say anything. Just be cool about it. All right?
I swear to God, it's Bone. I gotta look it
Oh,
up.
I thought you were gonna do.
It's Bulk and Skull.
I thought you were gonna do
Is
your
it bulk?
5-star thing, Dan.
No, I was going to, but then I decided I didn't want to.
You're like it's too early
Yeah.
in the podcast.
Tell us how right we actually are and how wrong Power Rangers got it. Leave us 5 stars.
It's Bulk and Skull.
What I was saying is, I feel like in the 90s, these kids' movies always had the, like, class... They didn't have real kid problems. They had, like, stand-in metaphor kid problems. So instead of, like, actually dealing with bullies or whatever, producers would just jam these characters in their movies where it's like, these kids will stand in for social problems. And by the end of the movie, they'll, like, give the social problems a swirly and high-five and say cowabunga or something. And, I don't know, it made me feel like a kid again. I saw these two, like, knucklehead jerks, and I was like, hey, yeah, I wish I was one of them. This seems like fun.
I wish I was asking some random kid for cigarettes and his shoes in a cemetery.
Yeah.
What a good way to spend the day. It's much better than,
when in Salem, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I want to follow Ice home. He shows his dad his new sneakers, and gets a high five. It's a cool way to be.
His dad also has a name, like, shaved in the back of his head. So does his mom. They're just sitting around listening to white rap music.
His dad is liquid and his mom is gas, and he's ice, and they're all the properties of matter.
I would watch a Bullies from Hocus Pocus side movie, you know?
I wouldn't. They were just so annoying.
They
to
just
me.
go home and cry in the shower.
Why doesn't anybody like me no matter how much I strangle them?
All my life choices have led me here.
I can steal their lunch money, but I can't steal their affection.
All right, now I'm on board.
LA?
I totally would watch that movie.
Oh, dude. Tubular. I'm Jay. This is Ernie. How many times I gotta tell you? My name ain't Ernie no more. It's Ice. Ice. This is Ice.
So Max gets home. We learn that he hates having moved to Salem. And then he goes up to his room, lays in bed, and starts moaning the name of the girl he literally just met, and that was a little odd. But his little sister Danny is hiding in the closet and comes out and scares him and then makes fun of him.
That's pretty great.
Oh, Allison. You're so soft. Just wanna...
No!
Danny!
I scared you. Ha 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 ha. I'm Allison. Allison. Kiss me, I'm Allison.
Mom and Dad told you to stay out of my room.
Don't be such a crab.
Yeah,
Yeah. He wasn't just moaning it. He was like spooning a pillow and kinda humping.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he would have been if she didn't interrupt it.
Yeah, that was quick.
Yeah, he got right into it. Gave her,
because
he got rejected and he was like, nope,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this memory in my head for
He didn't even
15
take his
minutes
like
later.
his. Oh yeah, he did take his shoes off because they were stolen. So I guess
He
that's
didn't
why-
have them, yeah.
I guess that's why he got right into it. He's like, well, my shoes are already off.
You know what that means? I don't want to. I don't want to. That's why you're always like, oh, just take off your shoes when you come in my house.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
He's getting you ready.
They're like, oh, do I have
It's
to
called the warm-up.
take my shoes off? Is it like a rug thing? Is it cleanly? And I'm like, no, it's just a Greg thing. It's just a virgin thing.
Aw.
He wants to smell those cottons.
Well, anyway,
Get to the yabbos.
we're getting there. Danny says that Max is going to have to take her trick-or-treating that night, and he's not a big fan of that. So that night they're going trick-or-treating. She's dressed as like a witch. He's wearing clothes, like just normal clothes.
People clothes.
Yeah, he's people clothes. She says that he's dressed as a little leaguer, which I think's really funny. They while trick-or-treating, they come across Ice and Jay again, and they're stealing a bunch of little kids' candy, and they hassle Max again.
Ding, ding. Ding, ding. Stop and pay the toll, kid. 10 chocolate bars, no licorice. Dump out your sack.
Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa.
He gives them, I think, his candy?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And like, Danny's really... Danny makes fun of him again for, like, basically, like, not being a man or, like, not having any balls to, like, stand up for himself or her, because they were hassling her, too. But you get to learn a little bit more about, like, she's got a little attitude. She's tough. I
She's
like
great.
her, yeah.
So that's that little girl's Thorna Birch. You guys know her?
Yeah.
No.
She's in Ghost World. She's in American Beauty. She's a girl that's like topless in American Beauty. Not that's
Okay. I remember her in that. Yeah.
Not
I've
that
seen
that's
scene.
her defining factor in that movie. She also acts in it, but yeah. So
She says a bunch of shit, but then she takes her shirt off.
Yeah, she's one of the kids that goes on to actually do things.
yeah.
Yeah.
What? Not Omri Katz?
All right. Well, enough about Omri
Cats?
Katz and
Omri,
'cause
talking cats.
We
Yeah,
are
go ahead.
getting to the yabbos because Max and Danny keep trick-or-treating and they end up at Allison's house, and Allison's family is having a pre-orgy masquerade party,
Oh my
and
god.
she is responsible for handing out the candy. Now, they didn't know it was Allison's house when they got there, but Max is obviously very smitten with her, and Danny comments that he really likes yabbos and really likes her yabbos and wants to be involved with her yabbos. But it's I loved when Danny was just like, oh, I really like your dress, but like I can't wear a dress like that because I don't have any yabbos, but yours are great. It's just so funny. It's so well delivered, like for like a little 8-year-old. Like it's so perfect.
Yeah,
Also, I
Thora-
like the term
Thora-
yabbos.
Thora Birch as Danny, she fucking killed it. She was not an annoying child actor, not to me at least. And
Yeah.
like by the end, by the closing shot of the movie almost paints her as the protagonist, and like maybe deservedly so, because I kind of think she outshone Max a little bit.
She was
But,
the heart.
yeah.
She was the heart of the movie.
Yeah, her line delivery was fucking great.
I've got candy duty. By the way, Danny, I love your costume.
Thank you. I really like yours too. Of course, I couldn't wear anything like that because I don't have any. What do you call them, Max? Yabbos? Max likes her yabbos. In fact, he loves them.
They all, and so Allison, Max, and Danny all decide to go to the Sanderson house, which is now a museum. At that house, it has Winifred's book in, like, you know, a little case, like a display case, and has a black flame candle, which is said to, if a virgin lights the candle on Halloween night, it would bring back the three witches.
Right.
And Max is this, you know, he's trying to be cool and impress Allison, and also he's an asshole, so he lights the candle, which does in fact bring back the witches. And the joke about him being a virgin just will continue the rest of the movie, even in like the last line of dialogue in the movie. But before,
what was the Alligator? It's the equivalent in Alligator, how they keep making fun of the protagonist for going bald. It's the exact same dynamic with this kid having not fucked. Like, and it carries
14.
on through the whole thing.
Like,
I know, and later he'll meet an adult who's like, "Really? Like, what the fuck? He's a kid.
They're
Look
all
at his
burning
face."
on him.
Yeah.
This is the anti. What was the last movie we did where it was sort of like a Christian message? This one is like, just have sex. Oh, Elm Street.
Why aren't these
Elm
kids
Street
fucking?
3. It was very Christian. Yeah.
Oh, totally.
And this is like, what? You're a virgin? I like when they passed that the museum. There was a good line. It was like, legend has it that the bones of 100 children are buried in these walls. It was like a throwaway line. They just kept walking. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I'd like to hear about that Canadian boarding school.
second time. And it's still too soon. But yeah, before he does light the candle, he's attacked by a black cat. That'll be important in a minute.
Oh, the cat's important.
Yeah. So after he lights it, the witches come in the house. They all hide kind of a little bit. And the witches find Danny because Mary can smell children. So she was able to kind of find her in the house. And they basically are going to, like, eat her. But Max interrupts them. Winifred, she palpatines him with green lightning.
Yeah.
Because she has that power.
Yeah.
And Allison ends up also attacking them. I think she hits Mary with a frying pan. Danny comes in and joins the fight, as does the cat. And the kids are able to escape the house after Max turns on the sprinklers, tricking them into thinking it's magic. He called it the burning rain of death.
Hey! You mess with the great and powerful Max, and now must suffer the consequences. I summon the burning rain of death.
Burning rain of death. Burning rain of death. He makes fire in his hand.
And these witches are incredibly gullible, which I guess makes sense because they are 300 years in the past, you know?
Yeah,
where
that
their
makes
knowledge
sense.
is. Because there's also like one really funny thing coming up too we'll get to it. But we learn that the cat talks, and the cat tells Max to grab the spell book on the way out. So now they've escaped from the witches. Yeah.
For the first time of like 20 times that they escaped these witches.
Now the movie's just a chase scene, I think, pretty much.
Yeah. Then it turns into Mad Max Fury Halloween.
So
for kids.
The one that can smell children, right? She talks out the corner of her mouth the whole time, and
Mary. Oh my god.
She sniffs like a dog, right?
Yes.
It's very It's very Three Stooges. There's like the Bette Midler is like the straight one that punches people in the stomach and has the plan. The one that talks out of her mouth and barks like a dog is like the Three Stooges. He's the character that barks like a dog.
Curly?
Yeah.
No, yeah, Curly, the bald one.
And then, what's her name? Sarah is the hot one. The hot
Larry.
Yeah. Larry.
Wait, which one of the... Okay.
The one with the hair,
Obviously.
Larry. If you search Larry Three Stooges on X Hamster, there are way more results. Way more results. It's crazy.
There's also this fish out of water thing with that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool that they're going to play up with the witches. But then they know just way too much about the current world and are like making quips and jokes about it. I'm like, it's one way or the other, folks. Like, this is, they're like burning on everybody with. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, their knowledge of the current world does shift dramatically after the school scene.
Yes.
Well, when she magically knows how a microphone works, and they all like know.
No,
like,
yes, that was before
we'll get
that.
there.
Yeah. There's a couple lines that they're dropping that are. It's like a different writer wrote it. And they're like, oh, that's funny. Let's keep it in.
They're totally, it's probably punch-up lines. Probably while it was going through like workshopping or whatever, they probably had some people like stick in jokes.
Yeah.
Which they just weren't thinking about the larger plot.
Yeah.
One of the masters of horror, Mick Garris, was involved with writing this.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So.
I think he's responsible for the yabbos lie.
Almost definitely, I would assume.
Just claim the fame.
You want to fill the people in on Mick Garris, not because I don't know who you're talking about, but
Mick Garris,
for the listeners, not for me.
Mick Garris, he directed Critters 2, for example.
Oh, hell yeah, nice! Yeah. I've never seen it. That sounds awesome.
He's done a ton of stuff. Like he did a couple, like a film or two for the Masters of Horror series. What was it on Showtime?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he's definitely well known in like horror, in the horror genre.
He has a pretty popular podcast too that he's had for quite some time.
Postmortem with Mick Garris. Yeah.
Oh, should we have him on?
Oh yeah, get him.
Right.
Yeah, all right. I'll give him a call.
I was just gonna say he's done a ton of Stephen King stuff, like especially in like the 80s and 90s.
You were getting at Mary, the one witch, the I guess can I just call her the dumb witch?
Sure.
She's clearly the dumb one of the group.
Yes.
There's like there's the scheming one, the hot one, and the dumb one, or like the big tropes that they're playing with that I noticed. I wrote in my notes, are these witches all part lizard? Because all of them they are ticks. Like that's all their performances are just ticks. Like the Sarah witch is constantly just like spacing out and floating around and not paying attention and trying to like have sex with kids. The Mary character is always eating shit and like talking out the corner of her mouth and stammering and stuff. And even the lead witch is just constantly beating people. Like they're just ticks. They're all just character ticks. Which I don't know. I guess in this movie it fit. It was all right. It was a little tiresome by the end, but I get what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I get like the camp factor wore off real fast for me. Like real fast.
Well put.
Yeah.
Well put. Although I will say, even all the way until the very end, I could watch Bette Midler chew scenery all day. When she's delivering lines, I enjoyed it. I really liked it. Although I did not like her makeup. The weird lip thing like
teeth.
Grossed me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that. Her mouth region, the lower half of her face pissed me off.
Mask it up.
So from there, the cat takes the kids to the cemetery, which he tells them is hallowed ground and witches can't step on it. We also learn about Billy Butcherson because he's buried there, and he was Winifred's boyfriend who cheated on her with Sarah, so she poisoned him and then sewed his mouth shut. And he's played by Doug Jones, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Huh. It's cool.
Doug Jones of the fish fucking movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Must been,
what's it called?
Fish fuck.
The fish fuck. It's called fish fuck.
Fish fuck.
Yeah.
Fish fucks.
Fish fucks 9. Gills deep.
Shape of Water. That's
Jones.
what it's called. I literally couldn't remember what it was called. And he's Abe Sapien from Hellboy. Yeah, he's awesome.
He was the eyeball and the palm of the hand monster from Pan's Labyrinth.
The Pale Man.
Yeah. Thank you for knowing the proper names for these characters. I know the movies. Right. Yeah. No, you're the encyclopedia.
Yeah, he had to be pretty young.
He must have been. I mean, this is 93? Was this 93?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah. And I will say, even I was watching this with Mahalia, and she pulled up IMDb wondering like, who is this guy? Because she recognized him through the makeup.
Wow.
And she said like, oh, Shape of Water. Yeah. Like, I think that's just a testament to Doug Jones's performances, that he's consistent enough that if you've seen enough horror movies, you can start to pick him out of a crowd.
That's awesome.
He's a talent. Yeah, he's great.
He's just got like what he does with his body, even in this character. I mean, it's very cartoony, but it really, really works. Because he's like, his arms are flailing over. He moves very like puppet like, but also zombie like. Yeah, it's also had he ran, so it's also had running zombies. Well before Danny Boyle.
I think there should be there should be a label for actors like that. I guess there kind of is. Like, I'm thinking of like an Andy Serkis type. He's kind of like that type where you don't see his face all the time, but when you see his physicality, you're like, fuck, I know that guy. That's awesome. because they just know how they animate so well. Yeah, the puppet thing, that's really well put.
Yeah, I mean, he's tall, lanky, thin. Like, if there's a tall, lanky, thin monster in a movie, it's typically him.
Well, not only that, but if you can make moving in pounds and pounds of prosthetics look natural, like that's just raw talent.
Yeah.
That's really hard to do, and he does it well. Even though I will say the zombie wig that he was wearing the whole time, I hate it. It looked terrible. The rest of the makeup looked awesome, but that hair was fucking terrible. Get a haircut, you fucking zombie.
Get it together.
Jesus. Go to a zarber. What do you call a zombie barber? I don't even know. There's no end to that. It's not even a joke. I'm literally not sure what you would call a zombie barber.
Yeah, I don't know. A zombie
leave
barber.
Leave us a 5-star review, all 5 stars, and tell me what you would call a zombie barber. Please, I'm dying.
Dan will soon be a zombie in need of a barber. So, yeah. So from learning about Billy Butcherson, we also learned that the cat is in fact Thackeray Binks, the young boy who was turned into that cat at the beginning.
What?
No way.
Also the cat curse is also keeping him alive forever.
Because of me, my little sister's life was stolen. For years I waited for my life to end, so I could be reunited with my family. But Winifred's curse of immortality kept me alive. Then one day I figured out what to do with my eternal life. Now, I'd failed Emily, but I wouldn't fail again. When Winifred and her sisters returned, I'd be there to stop them. So for 3 centuries, I guarded the house on All Hallows Night, when I knew some airhead virgin might light that candle.
Nice going, Airhead.
Hey, look, I'm sorry, okay?
And he's been guarding the house to prevent the witches from coming back. But this is the first time a fucking virgin was able to get by him and light that candle.
Infinite lives. You just keep killing him and he comes back.
Yeah, he's got 9 million lives.
I thought by the end of the movie you find out he wasn't guarding the candle. He was watching the candle to wait for when somebody lights it, because he knew that's how the witches would come back. So he was watching to see when the witches come back so that he could try to get to his sister.
So, I don't disagree with you, but he also doesn't say that.
Well, he also
in this scene. Like, he said like he was protecting the house.
He attacks Max, though. Why?
Yeah, to stop him from lighting the candle.
You should have given him a high five.
Yeah, you should have handed him a match.
That's true. You're right. You know what?
I think
there's allowed
what
to
he
be
says
inconsistencies
changes.
Yeah. There's allowed to be inconsistencies in Disney's Hocus Pocus. That's totally fine.
What if you light it and you're not a virgin?
I don't think it does anything. It's got to be a virgin.
What if it just smells like pine?
What
if somebody burnt that whole candle in order to get rid of the cigarette smell in their den?
I think it had a note on it that said it was made from like a dead fat man's
fat. They did mention
something.
Yeah, they mentioned that later.
It was an executioner's fat.
Yes, you're right.
Was that what it was?
Yeah,
okay.
it was.
Yeah,
it was.
Which is pretty
badass. Cool, actually. Yeah, I take it back. The Hellraiser thing was the second scariest.
the one scariest was the virgin luring candle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Better watch out, Eric. That candle's coming for you. Anyway, that joke didn't land.
Because you're the virgin, Craig.
Yeah, you can't flip the virgin on me halfway through the podcast.
I'm trying.
Look at me on this podcast with 2 virgins. Also, it would be funny if you and I, the 2 without kids, did just keep calling Eric a virgin.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I forgot to tell you, you have to put the candle in your butt before you light it.
Yeah, but then you're not a virgin
then it doesn't
anymore.
work, yeah.
Wait, can I ask you guys a question? Like,
Going
while
off the
we're at
rails.
this natural pause, talking about virgin butt plunging, do you think that this could be a gateway to horror movies for kids, or do you think it's not horror movie enough for that?
I think it could be a gateway. I don't see why not. I like that it's all Halloweeny. It's got all those vibes. A lot of it's filmed in Salem. It has witches. They're abducting children. I mean, I don't think it's scary. I don't think it would be like, oh shit, this is like kinder trauma or anything, but it might like get kids interested to start watching some other scarier stuff. I don't see why not. You know.
I wasn't sure, but even just listening to you, actually, sorry, Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with Eric. Like, I think it's it's a very soft introduction to the ideas. Like, this movie, it's got zombies, it's got witches, it's got kids being eaten and having their like souls sucked out. So like, it has scary themes presented in a cartoony manner.
I guess the opening sequence does have like an 8-year-old girl get, I almost just said sucked to death, but I guess she is sucked to death.
It also has a hanging, like a brutal hanging.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, usually the deaths in Disney movies are people falling off cliffs. So the fact, and they don't show that hanging, they cut away, but the fact that they implied it's kind of cool, you know.
Well, they showed the little girl die, and she didn't fall off a cliff, right? She slumped over, and then they threw a blanket over her. And then the next time we see her is as a ghost.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess maybe what you got me thinking about was that maybe the gateway to horror factor here isn't necessarily the jump scares or anything like that, but the fact that there are dark themes like death and trying to save your loved ones, and this idea of evil being real, or like witchcraft being like, it was very true to, in this universe, witches are real, witchcraft is real, the supernatural is real. Like, maybe that's why the virgin stuff was there, because it's kind of ancient, and it's like, like, you know, whatever, of virgins or whatever. Yeah, I can track with that. All right, that makes sense. I genuinely wasn't sure when I was watching this, like, how would this work for kids? But yeah, maybe that would be scary, or at least like, maybe it would be a balm to an angsty kid trying to think through bigger issues than themselves in a way that horror movies are for adults.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a reason why this is so popular now. But when it came out in the theater, it just, you know, from what I read, it wasn't. And then I guess Disney started airing it every Halloween over and over again. And then all this nostalgia kicked in. And now it's like, it's massive. They're doing a sequel. They re-released it in the theater. It made like a shit ton of money, even during the pandemic, 3 weekends in a row. Millions and millions of re-release dollars. And it's like, it's this huge like cult phenomenon now. When I was watching it, I was like, why? I just don't understand. And I still don't understand. Like, maybe, I guess I'm not the target market for this, and I just, missed the boat or whatever, but I don't get it. Like, I just think it's an average, Disney movie, like a million other Disney movies I watch. But anyway, yeah.
I know it is incredibly popular with women my age, like our age, pretty much. Like, they're dressing up for Halloween as it, like they watch it every year. I don't necessarily get it, and we'll get probably into that more at the ratings. But like, it is hugely popular now, and it doesn't hurt that it's now on Disney Plus. So watch it anytime.
I guess also something else that I noticed about this movie was the costumes have aged spectacularly. Like even the 90s trendy clothes that the teens are wearing all look like clothes that in 2021 would still be popular. Like, it's just perfectly at that 30-year curve. And the witch get-ups are all kind of timeless and kind of like funky and cool. Like, the look of this movie is great. It aged really well. The costuming and everything. So that probably plays into it too.
Don't ruin the surprise. The bus is coming. It's right around the corner.
That's my yabbos moment. The bus scene killed me.
It was good. Yeah, so now we kind of learn the witches are coming out of their house. Because Max set the sprinkler off, the firemen are there, and they make a comment about how like they're they think the firemen are witch hunters because they're wearing all black and they're carrying axes.
Wait, that was the scene where Sarah Jessica Parker's off to the side and she's like, "Ooh, a spider," and she just shoves it in her mouth.
Yeah.
And you see her like chomp down on a wriggling spider in her mouth. It was awesome.
That was cool. Yeah.
IMDb says that's a real spider.
What?
Yeah.
What?
What'd you say?
No fucking way.
Listen, I don't know the validity of IMDb trivia, but it says that was just a real spider that she just ate.
I thought there was like...
She just saw it and ate it.
Wow, that's awesome. But there was
fucking
maybe
awesome.
It's a different moment, but there's like a purple thing that's wiggling too that she eats later, maybe.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And maybe it's the same.
Is that in a different version?
Yeah, it was like a purple like thing.
Is that
she
the one on X Hamster?
Slurps it into her mouth. Because maybe it is a real spider. Good for her.
It was a real wriggling purple thing too. Sounds like. What if all throughout the shooting they just don't show all the other times that Sarah Jessica Parker, the actress, was like, "Let me eat this."
She's like, dude, I ate like 20 weird things. You only showed the spider. It's like pink flamingos.
I ate so many worms from the worm farm.
I ended the
ate
movie
that prosthetic
with
zombie finger.
that dog poop that was on the
Right, no, that's a different movie, I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. So I did like the scene where they're leaving the house and they come across like the paved road and they think it's like a black river and they're scared to walk on it and Winifred just pushes Sarah into the road.
Yeah. Good physical humor.
Tis a black river. Perhaps it is not too deep. Tis firm.
Careful, Winnie.
Tis firm as stone.
Why, it's a road.
Firm as stone. Firm as stone.
It's my book.
The fish out of water stuff was so funny to me for this first 20 minutes of them being back, but then it just dies off like you said, Eric. They now just kind of understand everything. So we learned that the witches have to they have until dawn to basically make the new potion to gain more life or they'll die for good. So that's kind of what we learned there. The witches find the kids at the cemetery, but they're like broom flying over it and chasing the kids throughout. Winifred raises Billy Butcherson from the grave as a zombie to go after them, and the kids end up escaping to the sewer, but not before knocking Billy's head off.
Yeah.
His head comes off in this movie several times.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Cool.
Very cartoony, but fun.
Yeah. I think they hit him with a tree branch.
Yeah.
It flies off.
Also, I would love to see a supercut of children's films that have people's heads getting lopped off, where you see the open neck hole clearly on camera.
Isn't it something like your brain still can? What was it? The Howling. They explain that you get your head cut off, but your brain's still functioning. So you the first
90 seconds.
90 seconds. Yeah, you can see what's happening even though you're detached from the body. I guess that wouldn't happen.
Freaky
Yeah,
shit.
I guess that wouldn't happen if you're a zombie. You could just see everything.
I mean, hey, Greg, what are the rules of the movie for zombies? If the head is off the shoulders of a zombie, but the zombie's limbs can still move, like they're getting electrical signals from someplace? How does that work?
I mean, most zombie things, when you cut off the head, they're not dead. You have to destroy the brain. So,
but in this movie,
they typically can't typically put the head back on and just go about their day. But
Hocus Pocus,
the head is typically still alive.
You pop it back on in Hocus Pocus, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just put a little mud on it. Just keep it on there.
So people think 28 Days Later reinvented zombies, but Hocus Pocus was ahead of the curve by 10 years.
I don't think they invented. There's still many other zombie movies.
Reinvented.
Well, this is when he was running. He was moving fast. So
that's true.
They
you're right.
More so invented the running zombies, but there was also running zombies in Return of the Living Dead from the 80s. So yeah. Well, we won't get into that here. We won't get into the zombie history.
Support us on our non-existent Patreon, and we'll release a non-existent special episode that's just called Greg's Zombie Corner. Just Greg with a microphone for, 7 hours?
About that, yeah.
Yeah.
This zombie ran. That zombie didn't run. This zombie ran.
The first half of the episode, the first 3.5 hours, will be Greg talking about zombies in film. And the second half of the episode, the last 3.5 hours, are Greg articulating all the ways he would kill himself if zombies were real.
Yeah. That's a little known fact amongst everyone I know. That I would immediately kill myself if there were zombies.
Count me in,
They
buddy.
are the worst.
We'll put our heads together and save on bullets. Let's do this shit.
Just took a dark.
The sweetest way to die.
We just went from talking cats to suicide real fast.
It's a pact. Now you're part of it. If you're listening to this, you have to join us. It's going to be a line. It's going to be a line of people.
Give us 5 stars or you do to get out of the pact.
No, to get in.
Yeah, you have to. It's 5 stars, all 5 stars, and you say, "I would like out of the pact, please."
Otherwise, we're gonna get you.
Oh God.
All
Bus
right.
bus driver.
Yep, here we're going. Yep. So the kids are in the sewer, and the witches come across a bus with the horniest bus driver. And he, I think it's Winifred that says like, we're looking for kids, and he what does he say? He says something like, well, it might take me a few times, but I think I can get you there, or something like that. Yeah.
I didn't know how to interpret that.
I mean, gonna jizz in them.
Yes,
and get them pregnant.
This is it's a Disney movie with a cum one-liner. Absolutely.
Yikes.
Bubble, I'm in trouble.
Tell me, friend, what is this contraption?
I call it a bus.
A bus? And its purpose?
To convey gorgeous creatures such as yourselves to your most forbidden desires.
Well, Nancy, we desire children.
Hey, that may take me a couple of tries, but I don't think that'd be a problem. Hop on up.
Marvelous.
So let's get this straight. This movie has a scene where a teenage boy humps a pillow in front of his sister while moaning a crush's name, followed by the little sister telling that crush that her brother and she both like her boobies, followed by a scene where a bus driver offers to inseminate our antagonists. And they were at a masquerade party during the boobs part too. We didn't talk about that,
which would 100% going to be an orgy.
I like the idea of when at that orgy sequence at the in that Hocus Pocus orgy sequence when he gets cider with her. Doesn't she say like, "Do you want some cider?" And she pours her a cup. If she like put the ladle in the wrong bowl and just poured him a cup of lube.
I don't think. Listen.
Yeah.
I've never been to an orgy. I don't think they have a punch bowl of a lube.
Yeah, I mean, so I think you just gave away the fact that you've never been to an orgy, Greg.
Not again.
It's a key party. It was the 90s.
Yeah. Anyway, this movie's rated PG. We should carry on. So after the bus driver tells these ladies, "I'll do the business with you."
Yeah. So they're driving around town. Sarah is sitting on the bus driver's lap, and he is loving every minute of it. And then Mary smells kids, so she yells to stop the bus, and they get off. And there's
kids out of the corner of my mouth. For the 20th
good Kathy
time.
Najimy impression. Actually, while Sarah's driving the bus on the bus driver's lap, the kids start coming up through the manhole cover, and Binks runs out, and they shut the cover, and Binks gets run over by the bus. And the bus drives past. They come out, and the kids are sad. Danny's crying, but Binks just reinflates, and he's basically like, "I told you I can't die. Like this, I hate when this happens.
Yeah,
it sucks."
Yeah, it was good.
A pretty intense scene again.
Yeah, a cat getting murdered by a bus,
and they show a cat with tire tread imprints on it. Like that's a dead cat.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's a prosthetic, but it's a dead cat.
Very cartoony though, just reinflates.
Yeah. Oh, hey, while we're talking about this cat reinflating, what'd you guys think about that cat talking effect? Did it work? Did it not work? What'd you think?
It looked bad most of the time.
Yeah. It was super early CGI. It looked a little stilted.
So from what I heard, like anytime the cat wasn't talking, it was an animatronic cat, and then they like CGI'd the face on for when it talked.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I watched the behind the scenes, and they used.
That's what I thought I read.
They used a real cat and then CGI'd the face on a real cat's body.
Huh.
Yeah, that's unless there was a mixture, maybe. You know, sometimes there's mixtures, but they showed, it was like a 5-minute thing. They showed an actual cat running around, and then they CGI'd the face.
All right.
On the sequence.
I mean, I'm sorry, Greg, but I know that Eric's not a virgin, so I trust him more.
I mean, it could have been a mixture. Who knows? I didn't dig too deep into it, but yeah.
I don't blame you for trusting the non-virgin, the man who's felt the touch of a woman.
I mean, I was a Hocus Pocus version until just recently.
Hey, look at that!
And I'm still.
Am I the only one that had seen this movie before?
I'm still shaking it off. I'm still taking showers.
I will say. I say that a lot. I will say
right now.
I do say.
There were moments with the cat, it doesn't ever look realistic at all. It's always an effect, and you can tell. But there were some times where the effect was so bad it almost felt stylized. And in a movie this visually intentional, like it kind of worked for me.
I get that.
It didn't read like bad.
Yeah.
It read as unreal, but I still bought it.
I get that. Yeah, it's like they totally committed to it, and you're like, all right, this is how the cat interacts. You know.
It would have been worse if they just put peanut butter on the roof of the cat's mouth and had you think that like the voiceover was coming from the mouth of the cat.
Mr.
Yeah,
Egg.
that would have been worse.
And kind of cruel.
Yeah, also, yeah. Gagging a cat on peanut butter probably isn't a good move.
Or if
Disney did one good thing between making cum jokes in this movie, and that was not torturing cats.
It would also been worse if they threw one over like a 200-foot wall and then drowned one in a swimming pool. And then flew a helicopter away.
Or better. I don't know. What do you mean by worse? Or better.
If you would like to learn about that, go back and check out our episode on Night of 1,000 Cats.
Yeah.
Lots of cat violence in that.
I mean, if you're religious at all, you should listen to that episode because cats died for you to have that episode. So, you know.
Because Dan killed cats while we recorded it.
Cats.
You should listen to the episode to find out how true that is.
Their souls are trapped into the audio files forever.
Yep.
Oh God, that's it.
It's taking a weird
Enough
turn.
about killing cats. Oh,
God, wait,
right.
no. Hold on. A haunted podcast where the souls of dead cats killed by the psychopath hosts is an amazing Blumhouse bullshit movie.
TM it.
That sounds like a direct to like Hulu Blumhouse release, and I love that shit.
That is
TM copyright. That's our idea.
Yeah.
Direct
Blum, Turek, give us a call.
Direct to one of our laptops for only the three of us to see ever, because no one else will give a shit.
Custom horror.
So exclusive, only 3 people care.
I'm trying to listen to this podcast, but all I hear are squealing cats. That's the nightmare. The nightmare is them realizing they have to do their like menial day job without company. Do it, Blumhouse. I dare you.
Take it and run.
All right. Greg, climb on that broom and fly through this plot with us.
I'm trying.
I'm so sorry.
We're not even halfway through.
We are not making this easy on you. Who would have?
I'm not a gambler.
Hocus Pocus would have taken us 3 hours to get through.
Hey, I'm just saying. I'm glad I'm not editing this. So.
I'm not a gambler. I don't bet major, but I do bet Midler.
Well,
that joke made no sense.
That was our show, and this is our last episode. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. All right, go ahead.
So
Speaking of non sequiturs,
the sisters get off the bus to go steal kids. But they see kids in costume, and they don't know what that means. They like Mary says that she smells kids, but all they see is like little hobgoblins.
Smell kids.
And then Gary Marshall comes out of the house dressed as the devil and invites them in.
It's the Sanderson sisters, right? That's your son. Haven't seen you for centuries. But what the heck? Why don't you come in? Come into the non-smoking section. Come on.
And they think he's the real devil, so they're calling him Master. And Sarah's like flirting with him and dancing. And the guy's wife is played by Penny Marshall, who's Gary Marshall's sister. She's in the house, and she does not like these strange women being all up on her husband.
Wait, I thought he was Satan. I also thought he was Satan. Was he not Satan?
He's just a guy dressed in a Satan outfit. He's not really Satan.
That would have been awesome if he was really Satan.
That would be good.
Also, how shitty must Satan look if like he pulled it off? Or like if they were like, oh, that's clearly him.
Because they established earlier in the movie that they got the spell book from Satan himself, which means that at least Winifred would have had to have met Satan.
Now that's something
and then she looks over.
I would actually like to fucking watch. Is see her go to hell and like get the book given to her from Satan. That would be awesome.
Amazing. I would watch that shit in a
Instead, they're in a living room dancing with an old dude while,
in red pajamas. Yeah.
While Laverne and Shirley's in the background, like with curlers in her hair. They're like, it's Medusa.
Dude, I had the exact same thought watching this movie. How are they confused by this, like, 60-year-old man in red pajamas that they think that he's the Dark Horde.
The best part of this is when
it was funny.
The little kids take their brooms and then they steal their brooms and then just lay there like, wee! They like fly off the side of the screen. That was like
never to be heard from
yeah,
again.
that was like the funniest thing. You know, if the movie ended and they just cut to them still flying around on brooms, like uncontrollably.
That would have been great.
I found that really funny.
That would be great. Yeah.
That would be so funny.
I like that they just kind of took
that.
off out of the corner of the scene.
Or probably more realistically, the credits would just roll over still footage of their bodies like hanging from a billboard.
I mean, in this movie, I would actually expect that.
Like, yeah, it gets bleak. Yeah, it's true.
Also kind of intercut in the same scene is the kids end up going up to a cop and admitting what they've done and saying that the witches are back, and the cop gives them crap about it. Makes fun of Max for being a virgin.
Are you a virgin?
Yeah.
Really?
Look, I'll get it tattooed on my forehead, okay?
Officer, this is not a prank.
Really?
Hey! I put my life on the line to protect this community, and you punks pull this? Get at it.
Come on, Danny.
Take that cat with you.
And like shoos the kids off, but it turns out he's not a real cop, he's just wearing a costume, and he gets his hooker girlfriend on the back of his motorcycle, and they head out.
Maybe that was her Halloween costume. She might not have been an actual hooker.
Yeah, her hooker, she's dressed as a hooker.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, that's actually kind of a fun, like a police officer, sex worker.
Yeah, that's another adult joke that shouldn't be in this kids movie.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even connect those dots. Wow, this movie is so horny around the edges. It's unreal. This whole movie, if this was animated, they would have just traced frames of porn, but then like drawn wholesome things over it. That's the vibe that I get from it. I kind of like Hocus Pocus, you guys.
Well, hold on to that. We'll hear your thoughts soon. Well, in an hour. We're back at the house. The wife kicks them out, has their little tiny dog chase them out, and they're very scared of the tiny dog. And like Eric said, they notice that their brooms are missing. But they do figure out what Halloween has turned into. I like when Winifred says something about like, oh, you know, it's chicanery or something, and kids are just running amok, and then Sarah just goes like amok, and then she just hits her. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah,
it was probably the most adorable scene in the movie. In this fucking trash fire of
it's just
weirdness of the movie.
Elbows are in the stomach.
Weirdos. Sisters. All Hallows Eve has become a night of frolic, where children wear costumes and run amok. Amok. Oh, we're just one child.
Yeah.
Very Three Stooges.
Super Three Stooges. I'm not going to stop thinking about that now that you pointed that out. I see it now.
But now we cut to the big adult Halloween party, where we got just like a bunch of skeletons on stage playing songs. Skeleton band. Danny and Max find their parents. Max is telling his dad, who's dressed as Dracula, and he makes the dad joke that he's not Dracula, he's Dadcula. I loved that.
Oh, Dad. It's not dead. It's Deadcula. Oh, my goodness. Who must this charming young blood donor be?
Dad! Something terrible happened.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's a 10 out of 10 movie dad. He's an awesome dad.
I missed that joke. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
Earlier on, when the kid is leaving the house, the brother is leaving the house to take his little sister trick-or-treating, he makes a joke to his dad that he's dressed as a rapper. And the dad says, oh, well, then your hat should be sideways. And grabs his hat and turns it sideways. I wanted to high-five the TV. It's such a good dad thing. Yeah.
All right.
I want to son that dad. Is that a thing?
Meet that dad.
No, I want to son him.
I want to be his son. Dad. I want to be his baby.
Teach me how to ride a bike, you bitch. All right, new Blumhouse movie idea. An adult man.
Freddy who wants to be the son of another man.
Yes!
Teach me how to
Freddie
ride a
wants to
bike,
write his
bitch.
ways, and he reads his self-help book that says he needs a positive male role model. So he just stalks the dreams of a man he respects.
Have a catch with me. Yeah, all the dreams are like perverted versions of like nice things.
wading through a pool of his like dead family members, and at the other end of it is just like, teach me how to swim, Dad. Blumhouse make these movies.
I don't know why Blumhouse is doing the Freddy movies,
because they're the ones that make
they're
cheap,
doing Halloween,
fast
so
horror movies. Yeah.
Blumhouse
does one good movie for every 4,000 bad movie.
Yeah,
and they make a lot of good movies.
They just make a lot of movies.
Yes, that is the strategy.
All of averages.
Right.
I like Blumhouse.
I like them too.
Yeah, they've had some stinkers, but
I'm not shitting on them.
No,
but that's everybody does. I'm not shitting on them at all. Yeah. I like Blumhouse. I like the way they do their shit, and I also like the idea that when I come up with a stupid fucking idea like that, Blumhouse could probably do it. They probably could.
It could be like one of those Hulu movies, like movies of the month, you know.
Yeah, the Into the Dark
there
series.
You go. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, moving on. So they're at the key party, and they find their parents. Like I said,
they barge in on their parents' orgy. Yeah, carry on.
The dad's Dracula. The mom is dressed as Madonna with one of those giant pointy bras.
Another moment where the mom character like. She says, "I'm Madonna," and then she like looks down and like lifts her boobs up, and she looks up like quizzitively to the girl, and she's like, "Right? Do you buy it?" Or something like that. And
like an 8-year-old supposed to get that.
Exactly. Again, it was somebody talking about like, "Are my boobs nice?" to a kid, to a child.
How about this? My big pointy yabbos.
No, when they're pointy, they're zabos.
There's Zappos, the shoe company,
the shoe brand.
So Max gets up on stage, takes the microphone from one of the skeletons, and starts basically telling about how the witches are back and they're actually here because the witches have followed them there. But Winifred, she's a smart one. She turns that around as basically like he's introducing them, and she starts singing about how, I put a spell on you. It's a pretty good scene.
It's awesome.
Yeah. But
dude, I wrote in my notes, this scene is fun. This is really fun. I'm enjoying this. That's what I wrote in that musical sequence. It's just fucking fun. And it's great. It's catchy.
Ugh,
yeah, very catchy.
I put a spell on you, and now you're gone. My planet fell on you, and it was strong. So strong. You're wretched and
You fucking guys.
Are you dying?
Yeah. I just thought it was like a vehicle for Bette Midler to like oh, she can sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you hated it? You didn't like it?
I didn't like it.
You don't put Bette Midler in your movie and not have her do a big like singing scene.
No.
Wait, what didn't you like about it? I want to hear it.
I didn't
spread that peanut butter on me.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like. I didn't know we were gonna get a musical.
When it's a Disney movie,
yeah, I guess I
always
should
expect
have
that.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a good reason. It just
fine.
rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah.
It sounds like you thought it was cheesy.
Yeah, like they turn into their backup
unnecessary.
dancers, and then they're all singing. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take the song and reinvent the lyrics." I like that she put a spell on everybody, but I didn't.
Well, that's
I didn't need
thing,
like a
right?
6-minute version of that song. Like I could have,
Yeah, so it was her way of casting a spell on all the adults who were listening, and basically the spell is that they have to keep dancing until they die.
That's great. I love that. Yeah.
And it plays off well. It's a good setup for a funny little punchline at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And the entire movie, they're always casting spells, and all of her spells are rhyming. Like, she kind of sing-songs them anyway, so when she started singing, immediately I had this idea of, oh, well, the lyrics are going to be a spell, because it rhymes. Of course. Like, I wasn't surprised by it, and I don't know, at this point of the movie, when they got to the gymnasium and the musical number starts, I was a little bored, and the musical number just, like, put a little pep in my step again.
There you go.
I was on board for
Nice.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dadkula also got me going. That was nice.
It was the best scene.
Yeah.
Key party, Dadkilla singing, perfect. And Billy Butcherson, the zombie, also arrives and chases the kids out of the party. So while the kids are out, the adults are all dancing forever, and we're moving on to a scene where the kids basically like came up with like a quick plan on their own. They're gonna lure the witches into the local high school and trap them in the furnace and burn them alive.
Okay, did they talk about that plan at all? Because I was a little confused at this point.
I don't think so. I think they just kind of jumped to it. Yeah.
Okay.
There was like, I think they thought of it. I think did they throw something in the trash or something like that? And it was literally like 10 seconds between like them leaving and them going to the high school. So like maybe in the script it was there, but yeah, they didn't really like spell this plan out very well.
Oh, spell, huh? Nice.
Ooh, yeah, that was was intentional.
Well, let me say, I was entranced by the concept of switching to the antagonist perspective to see them on the catching end of a spell. I thought that was fun, or a trap. I thought that was fun. I thought it was fun to see the villains get trapped and not know what the humans were doing. Because when that door slammed shut, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't really sure what was going on because I'm an idiot. And then when it was revealed, like, oh, the kids set up a little ploy to trap them and burn them alive. I was like, oh, sweet.
That's kind of
fucking
cool.
rad.
It's like the reverse of like Hansel and Gretel, where she's trying to get him in the oven.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude! That's exactly what it was. I didn't think about that.
I was going to compare it to when they trapped their Velociraptor in the freezer in Jurassic Park, but reverse Hansel and Gretel's much better.
Well, I guess they kill the witch that way, so it's yeah. They do it in what's that? Tales from the Dark Side.
But yeah, so they burn the witches alive. This is a Disney movie, and they think they've won, so they just go home.
Green smoke comes out, which means there's a new pope. Pretty sure that's what that translates to.
God damn it! These children in America.
Oh man, yeah, that was good.
Your Eminency, we must choose another. What? These children in 1993's Salem, Massachusetts, burned witches.
Screwed everything up.
So they so the kids think they won, and they all go back to Max's house to rest, and they bring along Binks, as now he's part of the family. He's he lives forever. He might as well live with them. However, the witches come back somehow. I don't really know how.
Yeah,
they reformed from the green smoke, but again,
that's
this whole scene, this whole high school scene, could have been just cut from the movie. I
agree. Yeah,
because it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Well, they have a scene after this where the kids are kind of like relaxed again. So if you had cut it, I think it would have been a little strange for there not to be urgency. But I agree, it was like an unnecessary plot bump. Do you think the witches coming back is the same kind of like consequence of these? They use the curse on the cat, and the cat can keep coming back to life over and over again, right? Immortality until the curse is gone, which we'll find out later on. So here, the witches are guaranteed life until the end of Halloween, and the whole time pressure of the movie is that they need to sacrifice a kid to get their life essence to stay alive past Halloween, and if they can't do it before sunrise the day after Halloween, then they'll die. So since it isn't sunrise yet, they reincarnated kind of like the way the cat reinflated, because they still have a task to do. So I think that's probably what happened.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, that sounds good.
That does make sense.
Officially canon. You heard it here first.
You're learning everything that you probably knew if you enjoy this movie. We didn't realize these things.
That's right.
New to us, except for Greg.
He was a Hocus Pocus. Actually, Greg, you were the not Hocus Pocus virgin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eric
and I experienced this shit
for the first time.
So yeah, so the Max and Allison and Danny are at Max's house, and the witches have reformed, and we cut to Jay and Ice, who are basically, it's like 3 a.m. I think they say, and they're wanting to go peep in the windows of girls to watch them undress.
Yeah.
But the Sanderson sisters arrive, and they make a comment like, "Ugh, why are only the ugly ones still out at this time?" And they did not take that well, and they kidnap them, and end up putting them in tiny cages, in like tiny bird cages in their house.
Yeah, I did like that. I did like seeing that.
Me too.
Yeah, because fuck those guys, I hate them. But
isn't that the point of their characters? You hate them, and then you see them tortured later, and it's fucking great.
Yeah, I guess.
I love that.
Yeah, there's a scene where Sarah's like poking the one in like the ass through the bottom of the cage with a pitchfork or whatever. Yes, but they talk about how they have to finish their plans because they're running out of time. The candle will burn out at dawn. They only have till that time. So now we're back at Max's house. Allison decides to open the book to try to find a spell to help Binks, the cat.
Bad idea.
Because this causes Winifred to see where they are. It like shoots up a big red signal in the air. Like the book wants to be found, right, by Winifred.
Yep. It's exactly the same dynamic as The Ring and The Lord of the Ring.
Yeah.
This was co-written by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yes, and co-directed by Peter Jackson. Yeah, he was on that B unit. Yeah.
So with Allison reading the book, we also learn about how a circle of salt around someone can help protect them from the witch. Well, the witch is. So the witches come.
That's okay.
What?
They could have set that up in the. I mean, I guess it's common knowledge, but they could have like set that up a little bit somehow.
That would have been a fun payoff if, like, the boys running after the sister in the very opening of the movie thought to, like, grab salt, and maybe the guy fails to draw the circle in time, and then he dies. And then later on, she reads that in the book, and it's like, oh, revelation again, and we all know. Yeah, that could have been fun. That was a little payoff set up payoff.
Well, we learn about it about the last 35 minutes in the movie, so.
Here's the trick to not be hurt. Oh, thanks, movie. It's the equivalent to in the future, Disney will make a bunch of Marvel movies where you just get super armor and you never die. In this movie, the super armor is a circle of salt.
Circle of salt. Get it. So the witches come, kind of attack the house. I guess I think they break in through the roof. They get the book back, and they also kidnap Danny and Binks. And the sisters fly back to their house. Meanwhile, Sarah is singing her song high above the town, which is going to lure all the kids at the town to their house. So they get back.
While gyrating on her broom like a stripper pole, and it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about it. It's a great scene, and you should look it up on YouTube. It's wonderful. It's a great performance.
Use thy voice, Sarah! Fill the sky! Bring the little brats to die!
Come, little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment.
Very physical.
When they get back to the house, they start making their potion. They're trying to feed it to Danny. I don't really understand how the potion works. Like, the kid have to drink it, and then they suck the life out of them. I think that's how it works. Yeah. Anyway, but while they're trying to feed it to Danny, Max comes in, tricks them into thinking that it's dawn because he mentions daylight savings. They wouldn't know what that is to begin with. So
how do they fall for it?
Maybe not. Come here. But there's a power greater in your magic, and that's knowledge. Hey, come on, man. And there's one thing that I know that you don't.
No. And what is that, dude?
Daylight savings time.
Daylight savings time.
That's the fish out of water. One of the fish out of water things. You're like, oh, daylight savings. We should cower from the light because we know what daylight savings is because we're from 1690 whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the funnier joke would have been like, oh, we're gonna get like half off bread, like some kind of discount reference or something. You're right. That is really out of character. I hadn't even thought about that. Fuck this movie. I hate this movie.
But Danny has a car parked out front and with like red filter tape over the lights, and I guess Allison flicks the lights on and they start like acting like they're dying because I guess they think it's daylight and they either way they think they're dying. They're falling on the ground. He unties Danny, kicks over the potion on the way out, and also steals his shoes back from ice.
Pretty great.
Without letting them.
They don't
go.
save them. I love that. I love that they didn't save them. They were like, yeah, you can die by the hands of witches in a Disney movie. I did think that was great.
You could die shoeless, bitch.
But as the witches realize that they're not actually dying, they get back up. They're angry that they've been fooled again, and they realize that they have enough potion left in the cauldron for one child. So they get it into a vial, and Max, Allison, and Danny are driving away, but they're now being chased by the witches. This is one of the scenes where Winifred flies up next to the car on her broom and asks to see his driver's permit.
Makes no sense.
And it's
no sense.
Pull over! Let me see your driver's permit.
I hated that. I hated that dialogue.
Yeah.
What would be a better line would have been like, "What model broom do you have?" Right?
Yeah, just something where she didn't understand about fucking driver's licenses and like acting as a cop to pull him over.
No joke at all. Just have it be scary. Have it be.
Yeah. Instead, she impersonates a small town cop, something that she is not familiar with at all.
At all. Yeah.
At all.
Or she could have shot him with lightning.
They thought firemen were witch hunters earlier, and now she's just playing.
Also, she can shoot lightning whenever she wants, so she could have just zapped his ass and ended the fucking movie.
So infuriating. Why didn't she just electrocute all of them all the time? Why isn't she just walking around like Edward Lightning Hands and just zap the whole town paralyzed and then just drink it? Why don't they just keep that one portion of potion at their house where all the children are flocking to, and then just take the first child that walks up and give them the potion and siphon the life out of them and be done with it? Why do they have to chase Danny?
So that Danny called her ugly earlier, and so now it's retribution. It's a revenge killing now.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, Dan, you're right. That's
what
they
it's like
should have
revenge
done.
or live forever.
No, the screenwriter is like, oh, ladies don't like it when you call them ugly.
Right.
They're gonna die because of their personal.
They'd rather give up eternal life for because they were insulted. Yeah.
So now we've got Max, Allison, and Danny. They are being chased. They end up back at the cemetery because that's kind of their best protection. Max gets caught by Billy Butcherson, and Max has like a little like Swiss Army knife or pocket knife, and Billy takes it from him and cuts the stitches out of his mouth. And instead of killing Max, he ends up helping him because he really hates Winifred because she killed him.
Do it now!
Wench! Trollop! You buck-toothed, mop-riding firefly from hell! I've waited centuries to say that.
Oh, say what you want, just don't breathe on me.
Billy! I killed you once, I shall kill you again, you maggoty mouth peasants! Hang on to your head!
I think he calls her like a trollop and like tells her to go to hell and
he has a great little run. Funny. He throws a good little salvo of insults at her. It was fun. I like the idea of that recontextualized the rambling zombie from somebody early on when they introduce a zombie. I think like, oh, it's a zombie, he wants to eat their brains. But then at this point, when he takes the knife and then has motivations of his own that I did not know that the zombie had their own motivations. I thought they were just a zombie. I love that shit. That was so funny. Like maybe if he had caught Max earlier on in the movie, he would have like gestured to him like, just help me get these shits off my lips, please.
Yeah. I mean, I do think we keep calling him a zombie because he's a dead person back to life, but like, I think the idea was that the curse like just brought him back to life, not like reanimated his corpse, but like now he's just back.
He's just back in his rotted body.
Yeah, but he's rotted. Yeah.
All he wants to do is tell this witch to fuck off, and he does in Disney language.
Yeah.
Shit's on my lips. Shit's on my lips.
Speaking of Disney language, I will say this movie. I did it again. I said I will say. I'm going to notice it every time. This movie has a ton of language for a Disney movie. It had a lot of dams and hells and a lot of
fucks.
Well, a lot of like adult humor and shit. I was shocked by it. Again, I'm watching it as an adult, knowing that it was like kept from me as a child because of like objectionable material or whatever. And now I'm watching and I'm like, yeah, actually, maybe I wouldn't want my little kid to watch, or maybe I wouldn't care. I don't know. I was just surprised at all the dams and hells and.
I'm curious to see
curse words.
What a remake will look like in 2022. Is it coming out? They're filming it
like the sequel.
Yeah, I'm sorry, a sequel. Did
Yeah.
I say remake? Yeah. So they're filming it this summer, which is over, and then it's supposed to come out on Disney Plus as a film next year with the original actresses as the witches. But I wonder if they're going to be like dropping F-bombs, if there's going to be like a rap song in it. Let's
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a rap song, but I don't think they're going to drop
maybe
F-bombs.
Ice will be back in there,
The only hope.
Still alive.
The only hope.
Having just learned earlier in this episode how well this movie has been doing being re-released to modern audiences, which I definitely, having just watched it, like part of the appeal is just how bawdy it is for a children's film. If they don't have that same bawdiness in the remake or the sequel or whatever it is that they're making, like there's no way it's going to be good, right? It's got to be like horny around the edges and way too adult for its audience.
Maybe
it has
maybe
to.
in this one, the bus driver actually finishes.
I mean, I think he did when she was sitting on his lap, but
we should also probably put in like an explicit note for this episode, so we don't get like a bunch of.
It's on every episode.
So a bunch of Disney fans are like, "Oh, Hocus Pocus, let me search this up on the internets." My good
in the description of the
Lord.
episode,
Dan just keeps.
We'll have a big old disclaimer.
Dan just keeps talking about how horny this movie is.
Anyway, where are we at again? They're in the graveyard.
We're almost.
You just tore off a trollop,
right?
So we're almost done. So they're in the cemetery, and they end up putting Danny into Billy Butcherson's grave, and they put a circle of salt around it to protect her because they know that the witches are coming specifically for her.
For the last time, prepare to meet thy doom.
I'm just saying, Danny could survive being buried alive for long enough that the witches would die and she could just be unburied. Just saying, they should have just buried that little girl.
Well, yeah, so they didn't bury her; they just put her in the hole, right? So
Right.
you want to bury a child?
Yes, I think they should have. It would have protected her, and they also could have just buried the book, and they wouldn't have had access to the spells because they have hallowed ground.
Well, she can call the book and it'll fly to her.
But they could bury it, and they can't fly.
Just sit on it.
It didn't fly out of that. Actually, I guess it just was locked in a case of glass after they died, so it doesn't count. All right,
They were also
maybe I'm wrong.
dead. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. They should have buried the kid, is what Dan's saying. Dan wants to bury small girls.
Also, what was
the
cat doing the whole time? Like he had a lot of time on his hand. 300 years? He probably saw some shit.
I mean, he probably like licked his paws a lot. What do cats do?
Yeah.
Like laid in the sun.
He was hunting mice in the sewer too. He said, he's just being a cat.
Yeah.
He was just doing cat
But he's
things.
a dude. Why would he just be a cat? Like I would be doing dude stuff.
How can you do dude? You can't talk to people.
Yeah, but you can walk around
Like,
and
he
like
couldn't-
look at people and
I'm sure
be in alleyways.
Disney, make this movie. Make this movie, Disney. Make the prequel where it just follows the cat for 300 years. I want to see this movie.
It's the horny old cat, it'll be called. 'Cause I feel like that's where Eric's going with it.
Exactly.
It's a peak puberty teenage boy.
It's like
it's the horniest
It's like the
cat.
invisible kid, except you're a cat and you're not invisible. All right. Let's move on.
We're almost done. All right. So the witches attack. Billy gets his head knocked off. Danny, because she's an idiot, gets out of the salt circle to get it, but she gets snatched up by Winifred. Winifred tries to feed Danny the potion, but this is when Binks, the cat, attacks her. He jumps from like a tree because they're flying now. They're on Winifred's broom. Binks attacks her, knocks the potion out of her hand, but Max is able to catch it, and he says, let her go or I'll destroy this, and she says like, well, if you destroy it, I'm just gonna kill her. So Max drinks it, so that like now she has to take him instead. So she grabs him, takes him up on her broom. Max is fighting with her. The other like kids and Zombie and Cat are fighting with Sarah and Mary, who are now flying on a mop and a vacuum cleaner because their brooms got stolen earlier. So that's funny.
I love that. The vacuum cleaner, for some reason, even though it's not plugged in, makes noises when she flies on it.
It's magic.
Which is great. Yeah.
But the kids are able to grab the cord that's hanging and like hold her from flying. So that was pretty good. That was
cute. It's good payoff. Yeah, it's nice.
So yeah, as they're fighting, the sun starts coming up because now it's very much approaching dawn. Winifred falls off her broom down to the cemetery ground and starts going after Max there. But as she grabs him, she turns into stone, which is, I assume, what happens if they touch hallowed ground, that they turn into stone. And the sun's all the way up for dawn, and you see Mary and Sarah. They kind of start having like light coming out of them, and then they just explode. And the same goes for Winifred. Her stone body also explodes as the sun comes up. So now the witches are dead. Billy goes back to his grave, and Binks ends up dying from his injuries because now the curse is over. Like, the witches are dead, the curse is broken, I assume, and now he can die.
Lucky him.
Danny's very sad about that, but that was his name, Thackeray Binks? Thackeray?
Yeah,
Thackeray.
no, Thackeray.
Thackeray.
Yeah.
Thackeray comes back as a ghost in his like original body, his what Dan called him, his teen heartthrob body.
He's a hot little boy. That is not what I said, but yeah.
Crush.
He comes over to Danny and and says
Boy
like,
vote cover. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
He comes over as a ghost to Danny and says like, I'll always be with you, gives her a kiss on the cheek, and then leaves with his ghost little sister Emily. And as they're walking away, she says like, what took you so long? And he says, I had to wait 300 years for a virgin to light a candle.
Damn. Burn.
Thackeray Beans, what took thee so long?
I'm sorry, Emily. I had to wait 300 years for a virgin to light a candle.
And as the ghosts walk out of the cemetery, we cut the credits and we get a scene of all the parents or like all the adults finally walking out of their sex party, and we see Jay and Ice still in their cages. But we also see that the book is still sitting there, and the eye opens, and it's woken back up again for some reason. And then that's the end of the movie, and then that was the longest anyone has talked about Hocus Pocus.
Hooray! Hey, great job, Greg.
Good job, Greg. Thanks for putting up with our bullshit.
Hell yeah.
Also, Binks is a Force ghost, right? Does he come back as a Force ghost?
100%.
I guess.
Yeah. George Lucas should recut this movie.
The anti-virgin Disney movie you thought would never happen.
If that kid had fucked,
completely rude.
He could have lit that candle and moved on with his day. That candle would have burned all the way down. Nobody would have been hurt. Those witches would have stayed dead. That cat would still be alive.
Oh,
damn, kid, get laid.
I forgot to talk about this one thing, and it's very specific. But in the sex party, high school, Madonna boobs dance sequence, orgy sequence, when they have a spell on them, there is someone in a cloud costume. And I take it back. I think this is the scariest thing in this movie. They have a face as a cloud, and it's horrific. And it's only on screen for a couple seconds.
I don't remember that.
Check it out. Yeah, it's...
Wait, are you saying cloud?
Yeah, C-L-O-U-D.
Like a cloud? Like
yeah,
rain?
Yes.
Rain comes
That's
from
correct. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So I put that up. The Hellraiser skateboard. I can't remember what the third thing was. But yeah, check out the cloud costume. They're also waving American flags during that scene for some reason at the bands, like little
Halloween being a very American holiday.
Mini American flags. Don't understand that either. But I forgot to mention those two things. So.
Well, now that we know the whole plot to this movie, and now that we've spoiled it for I know this is an underknown movie that many have not seen.
That's right.
Let's stab this fucking movie to death. Let's drive some knives through its heart. Let's drive a stake through the dadcula and talk about how much we like this movie.
Time for the ratings.
So here on Stabby Stabby, we like to rate movies between 1 and 10 stabs. 1 stab meaning we don't like the movie, and 10 stabs meaning we fucking love this movie and everybody needs to watch it in the whole wide world. Because stabbing is something that we do with affection on this podcast. We do stab our friends. So, Eric, what did you think of Hocus Pocus?
I'm going to give this my lowest rating I've given yet. I'm going to give it a 4 stabs. It wasn't for me. Like, I get And
surprise.
Yeah, no, I kind of hate not celebrating like any films because I can find I'm trying to find the value in anything, which I understand why people love it. I totally get it. I get why it's a cult movie. I think it has some redeeming values, it has some funny moments, has some cool effects. Like I get it. I understand why people are obsessed with it, and it's a yearly Halloween watch, but I probably will never ever watch this again in my life. I understand if my kids want to watch it every Halloween, and that's cool, and maybe I'll watch it when I'm in the room or whatever, but in the background, but it's just not for me. Like it just didn't cut it for me. And it's not because it's Disney. Like there's Disney aspects of Disney movies that I think are cool. There's I like Legends of Sleepy Hollow. I like what's the Fantasia thing though? Witch Mountain with the giant demon. Like there's some really scary, cool Disney stuff.
Even just Fantasia.
Yeah, Fantasia. Yeah. Spots. And not that I expected this to be like legitimately scary, but I don't know. It's the Three Stooges bit, the three actors. Everyone's like, oh, you got these amazing three actors together. But for me, it just seemed really forced, and the camp wore out like really fast. I don't know. I think I like movies where the camp happens by accident and they're not trying to produce it from frame one, So yeah, I don't want to shit on it too much. Like there's definitely redeeming values in it, and I understand why people love it, but just for me, wasn't my jams. So, Greg, what you think?
So for me, I'm gonna give it 5.5 stabs. Yeah, this is not a movie that I would normally watch. I do think it's pretty fun. It's got a pretty decent Halloween, like a good Halloween feel to it. Like I don't mind watching like kids stuff when they're really like saying like how great the Halloween is. And I love that the town of Salem in this movie was just like balls to the wall for Halloween, that they're just talking about shit in school. But yeah, there's the problem that we talked about, where it's just like they kind of threw away the fish out of water things, and then just like a lot of jokes just didn't land for me, but some of them were hilarious and great. It is definitely a mixed bag of screenwriting in my opinion, but it is ultimately not made for me. Like, I am not the demographic. So my own personal score would be 6.5. I could easily see people giving this like an 8 or 9 because of just how fun it is and accessible. But it's also, we've talked about it 400 times this episode, but like, it is just too horny of a movie for me to like feel comfortable with, and that's a weird thing to say for me. But it was and they just kept pushing a lot of it, and it's just like, all right, like once in a while it's funny, but it's just every scene has something going for it in that respect, and it's just a little it gets a little old and stale. But yeah, for a movie that's made for 10-year-olds and 35-year-old moms, 5.5 from me. How about you, Dan? How many stabs you giving it?
4.5. I'm gonna give this 4.5 stabs. I'm right between you guys, or I guess a little not between you guys, but you get it. 4.5 stabs, and for all the same reasons that you guys listed. I think it is fully possible to appreciate a movie, but just to not like it, and that's where I'm at. I appreciate this movie. I think if I had kids, I would probably show them this movie like around Halloween, especially if they were younger, and help them ease into it, and then like my wife and I could like chuckle to ourselves about all the horniness. But otherwise, like. The beautiful sets and the costumes are kind of why I really loved this movie. I like the musical number. You guys are totally right. The Three Stooges thing between the witches was funny until it's kind of wore off a little bit. Having said that, like Bette Midler is a gem, and every time she delivered lines, I thought it was just sumptuous and wonderful, and I loved it. She can choose scenery like any other motherfucker we've ever watched in this podcast. Like she's great, and I want her to get more like gnarly, nasty, loud shouting roles. That's fun. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's like supposed to be a scary movie. Or I don't know if it's supposed to be a scary movie. It's a Halloween movie that doesn't have a lot of teeth to it. It's playful and silly and fun, and I guess that wasn't really what I was looking for. But you know what? We're selling out because it's October, and Hocus Pocus, we watched it, so it's done now.
Hell yeah!
That's yeah. That's my rating.
I was telling Greg we need to counterbalance this with like a totally horrendous, disgusting like gore fest movie next.
Hell yeah! All right, next episode is Inside. Let's do it. Well, thanks for listening for, I don't know how long this episode is going to be, but probably like 12 hours. Thanks for listening to all 12 hours of this episode, talking about Hocus Pocus. We all at Stabby Stabby hope you have the most traumatic, horrifying Halloween. We hope it's wonderful and scary and awful and in all the best ways. Please have a great Halloween. Be safe. Don't eat drug-laced candy unless you want to, in which case, dive fucking in. Mail me some. I want some. give me some.
Watch the razor blades.
Why are you putting druggy candy in kids' baskets? That shit's expensive.
Yeah, that's not right. Watch out for the gummies.
Hey, Greg, how can people learn more about us and find out what we're going to watch next?
You can always find out what we're going to watch next every Wednesday at Stabby Pod on Instagram. We post what we're watching, what we're going to watch, when the episodes are out, and anything else I can think of to make you, our dear ghoul listeners, happy.
Where did the ghoul come from?
Halloween, it's spooky.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah. Spook times. But yeah, so yeah, come and join us there. And also, go ahead and just pop 5 stars in your podcast.
If I could be so bold, if you think that Greg is actually a virgin, please rate all 5 stars.
All 5 stars, please.
This does not mean that every 5-star review we get means that they think I'm a virgin. They could have come another
The more
times.
we get, the more proof that Greg is still a virgin. That's how it works.
Even if I was, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, yeah.
Hey guys, what'd you guys think of Sellout October? We went through 4 pretty well-known movies just because we wanted to sell out for Halloween. What'd you think? We had Halloween. We watched
Are you talking
Nightmare
to
on
us or to our listener?
No, you two. And Nightmare on Elm Street. What else we talk about? Tremors
and Halloween.
Yeah. What'd you guys think?
I had fun. It was good to revisit some stuff that I haven't seen in a while, or some old favorites. And but I am very excited to get back into the hot garbage that we usually talk about.
I thought it was fun too. I think there's something behind like competent storytelling, like well lit scenes, like cool special effects. Like sometimes some of the stuff we watch are like, oh no, why is this happening? So they're all, regardless of the ratings, they're all quality and lots of fun, and they all had that Halloween spirit, which I really like. I started watching other Halloween movies that I would watch on the side. Like I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I started like doing little mini. I'm like 3 months ahead. I'm already in Halloween mode, which is kind of fun.
Well, Eric, we're in October right now.
Oh, that's
it's
right.
October now, Eric. We definitely don't record these in advance. What are you talking about?
Yeah, forgot about that.
No, that's great. Yeah, I've also been enjoying it. I agree with you. There's something about going out of the cesspool of the garbage that we usually, the loving garbage that we usually watch, to see competent people making stuff. And I'm looking forward to the next episode when we dive back into obscure, underseen stuff and kind of put that hat back on, because it's always the transition. So I'm looking forward to it. So thank you all for joining us for Sellout October. We will be back at the spookiest month next year unless we stop doing this podcast. And to close this out, you all know what we say every episode from the very beginning.
Don't forget to stab your friend
with Hocus Pocus.
Doesn't make any sense.